Hi, good evening. How are you doing today? I've been speaking about mindset, which is all about the way we are perceiving reality, the way we are thinking by connecting the dots, the way we are deciding either by the gut or by assessing the benefits and effort, and finally, the way we are acting or responding with conviction and consistency. And I've also been asking you to do a simple baby step exercise of trying to talk to your friends, neighbors, relatives, or colleagues on their perceptions of the current reality of people to people interactions and what you assume their perceptions would be. Try to find out the commonalities and differences and establish a dialogue to work out a common collective mindset. This has been my topic for quite a few days, and from today onwards, I will start by first talking about why is mindset so much required, and then go on to talking about my quarterly business plan and the routines linked with the quarterly business plan. So let me start with why mindset is required. Today's topic is about teamwork, which is the weekly sharpening agenda. So therefore, I'll speak about uh, why mindset is required from the perspective of teamwork. Why mindset understanding and mindset working on mindset is required for the understanding of teamwork. See, in a team, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes for me to explain that you need to have a common team outcome and you need to know what are the competencies and the skills of each team member, and based on that to define clear team roles and then define their responsibilities and give them some tasks and assign responsibilities and make them accountable for those tasks. It's very simple and very easy to say. And the next thing is, when the teamwork is going on, to make sure that the team works efficiently, it's important to conduct a daily standing meeting so that each team member knows what the others are doing, and so that he or she can adopt himself to achieve his uh, personal task and personal goal in the best possible way. It's very simple. But in reality, it doesn't happen at all. See, when you are in a team, it's extremely important to demonstrate to the other team members that you are equally capable of doing your job. Let me tell you a very simple standing meeting example, which is easiest to understand. Let us say we're talking about a daily rolling plan which has been done, and for tomorrow's rolling plan we need to manufacture 20,000 parts of a particular type, and that particular type needs some fixtures to be made available and some tools to be made available. I'm talking about the manufacturing example, which is comes to easy to me, and then I'll speak about a service example too. So in the morning meeting, let us say the discussion is, are you ready for tomorrow? So the guy who's doing the fixtures and the guy who has done the tooling activity, he says, yes, sir, everything is ready. We can do that. And tomorrow morning, the show starts, and when the setup has to be done, the fixtures are taken out, and you realize that the critical bolts required for the fixture fixing is missing. Now, yeah, it's good. Fixture was ready. It's missing. So finally, you search out, waste some time, get the bolts and fix the fixtures. And after that, you realize that the fixtures are not properly aligned. And then the first part, therefore, was not okay. So you have to again correct it. So that goes on for some time. Now, you look at that team member. He said that everything is ready, sir. What did he say everything is ready? He possibly looked at the fixture in the rack and saw that it is existing there, it is kept there, and it is cleaned and it is ready. That's all. But he didn't really see that the fixture is ready for usage, ready for total application, so that it gets totally used in the best possible way. Now, that particular activity you can detail in the most possible way, but unless the person has a mindset, a collective agile mindset, to say that, look, my job is to make sure that I am helping the guy in the production to make sure that the production runs smoothly without any problem. When I say it is ready, I'm talking about readiness in 100% thoroughness. There is no question of 99. It has to be 100%. Otherwise, there would be a lapse in the production. So that's something which can be taught in classes so many times. But unless there is a change in the mindset of the team member there, nothing much will happen. It's only information that I know that it has to be done, but it is not done. Let me take an example of a service industry. A classical example, let us say we are talking about an industry which is into financial outsourcing, who are looking after the payments and payables and receivables. And their job is to make sure that the receivables are all collected on time. There are a lot of people who are in subscription mode, a lot of customers, and their subscriptions are being monitored, and then you'll find out when it is overdue and you collect the overdues. Imagine if the list which the person is doing is not thorough. It's very simple. Every day in the morning, you need to go to the Excel sheet. If it is an Excel sheet, otherwise it could be a app or a system which runs that. And you need to understand who are all the customers who are to be paying in the next 1 week, for example, follow up with them, or who are all the customers who have not paid, which would be the overdue subscriptions, and then pick up the phone and speak to them to find out why you were not paid, will you be paying, will you not be paying. Imagine if that simple step, it's a very simple step, it takes only the 10 seconds to explain. You need to open the Excel sheet and then open the Excel sheet, go to that particular column where the due date is there, select a filter and say all which is earlier than today. That's all, simple. And once that list is there, either take a printout or go on the screen itself, line by line, start calling up. Imagine if that step is not done. Person does that step once in 3 days. Okay, so whatever activity I did today, 3 days is a very good case. There are cases where they do it once a month. It's even worse. So let us say in 3 days I do it, and then I've not really called up the customers who are overdue at all. So that customer didn't pay me. Therefore, my cash flow got stuck. My receivables were not there, which means my entire system came to a collapse. Is mindset more important there, or is the teaching more important? Is the training more important? To train how to open an Excel sheet is very easy. It's not difficult at all. So therefore, mindset is the key to achieving success. I can teach anything, whatever you want, maximum within 1 day, all concepts, be it a blue ocean strategy, I need about 2 hours, be it value stream mapping, maybe about 3 to 4 hours. I can teach you how to do it. It's not a difficult thing at all. Train you how to do it, not just teach. But then unless the mindset changes, it won't happen. That's the reason why I keep talking about mindset. So let me come back to mindset, and then what mindset is, which I explained earlier, which is the way we are perceiving reality, the way we are thinking by connecting the dots, the way we are deciding either by the gut or by assessing the benefits and effort, and finally the way we are acting and responding with consistency. So yesterday I had recapped about a little about mindset, brain, and all that, and today I go into the daily meeting first very quickly, and then talk about the weekly schedule, which is to be done on 2 topics. One is design, the other one is teamwork. So let me talk about the daily activity first. Let us say you start the day by having a morning standing meeting. You must have done it today, otherwise please do it tomorrow. First you start with checking out the scoreboard, the updated scoreboard, and then discuss about the successes and failures yesterday and what learning one has from that success and failure. Like the example which I said about the fixture, the success and failure and the learning would be to make sure that I am ensuring that particular fixture can be put on the machine and the first part will be okay in manufacturing. Whereas in the case of follow-up for an outsourced finance and service company, which is in the business of recovering or collecting payments, their job would be to ensure that the Excel sheet is printed on a daily basis with the filter for whatever that is overdue as on today. And it is updated also online. Otherwise, the updating will not happen. Then it will simply show something which is overdue, which is not really overdue. So both are equally important. Or if you have got an app, to take that report every day. That is the learning. It's not possible that we simply take an older report and work. That's the learning. So that learning needs to be repeated. It's again very interesting. To err is human. And that's something which is very, very common. Therefore, mindset change takes time. So for that to really become a habit, it will take some time. Therefore, the same mistake, it's possible that we commit multiple times before we really get the hang of it, and it becomes a internal habit. It becomes a natural subconscious competence, and that takes some time. So therefore, don't worry if you're doing the same mistake multiple times, it's okay. But if the same mistake is happening consistently multiple times, then it may not be very nice. You need to really sit back and reflect and find out why it's happening. Maybe there is some other pressure, or you are really not convinced that it's going to really work out. Then you find a different solution, whatever. That's the learning part of it. Then after that, we spoke about the rolling plan for covering 5 days: yesterday, today, tomorrow, day after, and the day after. And then talked about the deviation management, which is the next topic on agenda on a daily standing meeting. Then the teamwork, how efficient and how seamless is the teamwork, and to resolve the conflicts there. Then, very important, give away some recognitions or do some celebrations to really get the energy up. So that it's important that we really create the positive energy before we start off. And finally, to discuss on any escalations of yesterday's performance or today's possible potential problems, and reports which are to be submitted to the next higher level, and also talk about the approvals which are required. So these are the 7 topics: scoreboard, success, failure, rolling plan, deviation management, teamwork, recognitions and celebrations, and escalation. After that, we go on to the weekly sharpening activity, which we do once a week on various topics. Yesterday's topic was design. Today's topic is teams. So I'll talk about both of them. So I'll first explain what are the 5 steps involved in this sharpening. The first is to look at a OPL, the open points list, which talks about all the actions which have been planned in the earlier discussions. Then think of, imagine, and remember all such deviations, issues, topics, problems which occurred in that domain in the last week, and then try to find out what the root cause is. For that, do a little more digging, use doHow or any other methodology. In fact, the entire 5 steps could be done using doHow, but for the time being, we'll not go into that direction. You can do root cause analysis using 7 quality tools, the conventional way, whatever way you feel like feel is important and interesting. And after that, define the corrective and preventive actions for those, validate them to make sure that they're really going to be working. And finally, plan and check the contingency buffer for your activity. If it is design, a contingency buffer could be for the due date of completion of design, the rollout and the launch of a new version. If the launch date is 30th of July, your internal estimated planned due date should be 26th of July. So you still have 4 days of buffer. That buffer is required. Contingency buffer is always a must. If you say that, look, I need to have a product which can work for 10,000 hours, then you plan something so that the product can work for 12,000 hours, so that you can at least get 10,000 hours as the product life cycle, product lifetime. So that is the second aspect of the weekly meeting. First is the deviation. The third aspect, the first is the open point list. Next is the deviation analysis. And after that comes the contingency buffer to make sure that you've got contingency buffer in your targets. Now we go to the weekly sharpening, which we will start with design. What are the topics to be spoken about there? First is analysis. You think as to how you are analyzing any situation. Is there any methodology that you are using? How analysis is being done to run that? That's something which is very, very important. One topic of it. Then second would be on in terms of creativity. How are you coming up with new creative ideas? Do some creativity exercises. Think of possible solutions which can be done in a creative way. Then in terms of engineering, try to see if you are really doing it with attention to detail. Are there any design mistakes in the last couple of days? And how many change requests have been done because of mistakes in the design? Change requests could be because of changing in the drawing. Change requests could be because of wrong BOQ or BOM. Change requests could be because of wrong quantities which are planned. So any case, it is not a load. It is not at all a load. It's definitely a problem. And the next is, what could be the reasons for the queries which you are getting? Let us say I release the design to production, or I released a concept for the development to happen. System design was done, and the development, the system architects designed the architecture of a software product, gave it to the developers, and they came back with queries. That is also not allowed. Query means what? You have basically given something which is half cooked, which is not really understood. So that cannot exist. So therefore, look at what can be done to avoid that. So that's the next sharpening. And after that, look at evidences. Design and development has a lot to do with evidences, with facts, with rationale, less with emotions, unless it's a product which has to do with a lot of emotional appeal, maybe something like a fashion fashion design, or maybe something to do with cosmetics. But even there are a lot of technology, a lot of physics, and a lot of chemistry involved in that. So that also needs to be equally considered. And discuss and think about learning. How fast are you learning? How far are you in a position to learn and avoid mistakes, avoid problems? Then the most important thing is to understand the need of the customer. Whatever you are designing, to understand the need of the market, need of the customer. What are the drivers? What are the drivers for making a decision? What are the factors and attributes that the customer or the markets look for, segments look for? And how can that be introduced into your design? Make sure that all these needs are met. And also think of those unmet needs which are understood and accepted by the industry, which is very, very normal. For example, when you are going in a car and it's raining, it's an accepted situation that when you get out of the car, you wouldn't have an umbrella. The car guy is not giving you an umbrella. Imagine if you could give a solution where moment you get down when it is raining, inside the car there is an umbrella provided by the car manufacturer, so that you could use it, and that can be brought back and kept into the car. I'm just thinking wild, and that would meet an unmet, accepted inefficiency of a particular product. It would meet the need of an accepted inefficiency of a particular product. Of course, that is done by Rolls-Royce, definitely a different brand altogether. Rolls-Royce gives a branded umbrella also in the cars, which is something interesting. You can check it out. And then comes the next one, which is in terms of technology. What kind of technological solutions are you using? Is the technology up to date, state of the art? Then finally, you can look at the various problem-solving techniques. In design, I would suggest TRIZ is a very, very good problem-solving technique, which basically abstracts the problem to a level that you can look at solutions in the nature, which are generic in nature, and then get back to the problem and deep dive, so that you could then find a solution. So this is what happens during the sharpening session. Typically, I'm talking about the topics which come out in a doHow game, so that it becomes easy to explain. That's the background for me. That's why I'm today looking at the screen. I don't remember everything. And finally, the last one is to talk about the customer sentiments. That would be these would be the topics for design. Now, coming to team work, which also has to be done today. Today's job was team. Yesterday's was design. Since I didn't speak about design yesterday, I'm talking about design today. Team building, what is required? First and most important thing is, what are the habits? What are the practices of the team? What are the good practices? What way do people behave? That is the first thing which is important. Then look at how the changes have been happening in the world. That's something which is interesting to understand, how the team members adopt to the changes. Then how is the decision making process in the team? Extremely important. And when there is a dilemma in the team, between the team members or with the team, with other teams, how do you go about resolving that? And how consistent is the performance of each team member for whatever job or task he or she is doing? Then what is the contribution of each team member, with examples? How have been the contributions of each team member? Teams can only work if all of them are performing to excellence. It's not possible that in team you have got one person who is always, I say always, it's not, at times one can be a little not that good, because that's life. Ups and downs are natural. But if there is a person who's performing consistently lower than the other people, then it is not really a good team. You need to really look at pushing up that person, or really replacing that person. Worst comes to us, like it happens in a cricket team, so that, or a football team. So that's something which is important, that somebody needs to keep an eye on that. And what expertise do the team members bring to the table? How is the teamwork? Is it working like a clock? Clock is something which is a classical example of a teamwork, but with no emotions, no mindset at all. It's all just rational, mechanical parts working together, but it works continuously, and that's what the teamwork should be. So how is it working? Then how is the mindset for learning? How are the team members ready to learn? And roles, in fact, how are the roles distributed in the teamwork, which is also equally important. And then talk about the reporting. How is it being done? Are the team members proactive in reporting? Are they very persuasive? And you could talk about the perceptions. How is the mindset of the team members? Is the last one which you would talk about. With all this, we would basically go through two topics, which would be on design, which was to be done yesterday, and today was sharpening of teams. This is to be done on a weekly basis as per my standard calendar. Why weekly? Because bi-weekly is sufficient. There's no need of talking about how the teams work every day. It doesn't make any sense. And teams, in fact, you need to do once in 15 days, not even every week. Whereas design, sales, and vendors, these are the three areas which has to be done on a weekly basis, because sales is something which is very critical, the core of the company, oxygen of the company. Vendors are also equally critical, and the production is critical. Design also is equally critical. So these key challenges have to be done every week. So once you have done that, then we come to the next activity of just looking at what we had to do this week and how good we have done all these topics this week. This week's jobs were three, which I had shown earlier: learning and development plan for all the employees, employee potential assessment, and finally problem solving effectiveness assessment. How good are you in problem solving in your organization? Hope you have done that. Otherwise, you can repeat it to next week if possible. Otherwise, the next quarter, because next week will be a different set of topics, which I'll speak about on Monday. And with that, I come to the end. Thanks a lot for watching. And before I go, please do the exercise, the baby step which I've been asking, to talk to your neighbors, friends, colleagues, or relatives on their perceptions of people to people interactions and what you believe, assume their perceptions would be, and see if there are commonalities and differences or differences, and then try to start a dialogue to establish a common collective mindset. So with that, I come to the end of today's and this week's weekly daily sessions, live sessions. See you all on Monday. Have a nice weekend. And for those of you in India, have a nice evening. And for those of you outside India, have a great day ahead. See you all on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Thank you then. Bye-bye.